If this is Friends, the TV show, this episode should be named the one where no one gets anywhere. Hello, welcome back to my channel. Last week, a colleague asked me to give an answer about what is happy ending. She wanted a quote for a feature that she was writing. I was like, happy ending? Me? I don't even know these two words. I'm not joking. I don't even think it would happen either on me or on my work. And I don't know the definition of happy ending. I'm sorry, just because I have a channel on YouTube doesn't mean I have answers to this. But this question got me thinking for the whole week. This is the last video of 2024. Today we are talking about my first novel, my catastrophic curing process, and a little summary of the year. Also, I want to share two books that enlightened me when I was writing my novel. So if you're only in for the book, just click the timestamp. So, first things first, my novel. Today is Sunday. On Monday, I was asked the question of happy ending. I didn't give her anything, I'm so sorry. On Wednesday, I sat down to write an outline for this video. Till today is Sunday morning. The pages were still blank. Because I cannot find any words to describe my feelings. Also, I'm going to make a very inappropriate comparison, okay? Please don't cancel me. I found my failing curing process a lot like my failing dating life, without getting into any privacy. In summary, it includes me feeling both incredibly well about myself and having imposter syndrome. Any people that I cured or dated or sending the signal that, you know what, I kind of like you, do you want to go out for a date? Constantly replying, no, thank you, but no. The similarity extends to things like, oh, it wasn't you, it was me, or we're not on the right timing to do this, or you just didn't fit me on my profile at the moment, or though you have a setback now, you know what it all takes is just that one person that believes in you. Which topic are we talking about? My failing curing process or my dating life? Because all those words kind of felt the same. I mean, I get that, I really do. But the process is, I think curing is more miserable than writing the book itself. So here is my statistic in terms of curing, okay? In 2022, I got an inspiration from a friend to write a science fiction. I would say it's more like Never Let Me Go plus Gone Girl. It's a mixture in terms of genre. I finished the first draft in July 2024, so 2 years later. Now, as I said in the last video, a lot of writers would tell you that they wanted to be a writer since they were a kid, which was also my case. I wrote fan fiction when I was 12 or 13. I love writing fan fictions. I love getting numerous DMs every day, asking, where's the next chapter? Are you working on it? Because we're waiting. I loved it. I think since that moment, I sort of knew that, you know what, I want to be a writer, and I will be a writer someday. That's why this book, we're gonna name it Project Uzis at the moment, because if it ever gets published, I will explain to everyone why. This is the first complete original work that I have ever done. I think I'm not exaggerating to say that I put a little piece of my soul in it. So I finished the book in July. Set aside, did what Stephen King told me to do. Watch my last video about Stephen King, please. I give a few days, I took a few rest days and started to revise it. I finished the second draft in October, so 2 months ago. By that time, I have already started countless articles, research about curing letter, curing manager, and sample chapters. So the whole curing outline timeline thing. My first reaction was, this is a squad game or Hunger Game. You name it. You gotta follow meticulously for a set of rules. Don't get me wrong, I obey the rules. I did what I was told. I used to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and you got to know all the rules, the do's and don'ts, so you don't look like a fool on the mat. But I'm going to be completely honest here. I don't think I could have ever made it. I don't think I could have came out from the curing process alive, because it made me question my whole self, my identity, my talent, my choices, my ego. Anyone who has been through curing for years, and also I watched a lot of YouTube videos about people who cured for years. I am currently only on my 3rd month, and already it's a little bit too much for me to take. So I sent out my first Curie letter on October the 10th. My last Curie was sent at the end of November. I was told later during a fantastic video from BookEnds literary agency that you shouldn't really cure that much before the holidays. By the way, I love their videos, and I will put all the channels or persons that I've read on about how to cure or what it takes or the whole process, some insights in the description box, just in case someone is struggling like me. I hope it helped me, and I really do hope that it helps you as well. Like all the videos that suggested, I did my research, I found specific agents that I wanted to pitch with, and I followed the guidance to submit the materials. So my statistic is, this is embarrassing, I cured 64 agencies. So far I have got 15 rejections. Among them, 14 were form rejections or just a single sentence, thank you for sending this, but we're not pursuing this. One was a very, very moving and special rejection, which I'll talk about later. The quickest rejection was a day after I sent the letter from an agency in the US. Some big ones in the UK sent rejections about 2 months later. So far, I have got no request of anything. I'm not going to share how I wrote my Curie letter because one, it's not working, obviously. Second, this is not what I wanted to talk about. I do want to share what I think I did wrong. I think my mistakes during the Curie was, one, I sent out way too many Curies way too fast, because later I watched a video saying you should only send some sample Curies to test the water and then come back with a bunch more Curies to start the game. Now that I think of it, maybe I should have waited a while and maybe send a few new Curies on a slow and steady pace. Second was I could have been more prepared in terms of crafting the Curie letter, because now that I look back, I think the letters it was fine, but it was not special. It was not wow special, which brings me back to what I do want to share about the special rejection. This is an agent from London who specialized in science fiction. He wrote me a long letter after reading my Curie, in which first he brutally rejected me. But he told me that he liked what he read, but it was not enough to move him. He also shared some very interesting statistics that he had read work from more than 1,500 writers and signed 40 of them. I put my calculator and saw the percentage number and put it down. He also told me that the entry level of new novelist now is not good, but special. But he also said that one of his favorite writer, Ian Banks, wrote 6 books in over a decade before getting the first publishing deal. So he said, you just have to keep going. I'm not gonna lie, I cried a few times in 2024. And this letter was the time that I cried the hardest. Because first, it's very moving. A total stranger took the time and write you this letter. It also made me feel incredibly powerless. The thing about curing and being a writer was, on one hand, at least for me, on one hand, you would think you were bound to be somebody someday, that because you put in the work, you think you're smart, you think yourself as the smartest person in the room. Most of the time, you feel like, you know what, I could have pulled it. I am going to put in the work. And I'm going to show the world that I'm fantastic. I am capable of doing something, that I am worthy, that I could have made incredible things, because the dull and boring life doesn't belong to me, because I think I'm way better than this. But when it comes to curing, it humbles you. It made you question yourself. Are you really that good? Are you making a fool of yourself? Are you really as good as you think you are? Maybe I'm exaggerating of feeling pity for myself for a little setback, but last few years I felt nothing but rejection in every way of my life. Maybe it kind of affected me, I'm not gonna lie here. I don't know if anyone ever has the same feeling of being stuck or caged. Whatever you do, whichever you go, it won't work. You're not going anywhere. You're not getting anything done because you won't make a difference, because you are not good enough and you will never be. I don't know if you have ever felt the same way as I did. But sometimes I do feel it. Also because I'm not a native English speaker, but the book was written in English. I have a natural scare or shame when curing for my book. Sometimes I felt I was below every other writer who are natives. Not because I'm not proud of who I am. I love my identity. But when it comes to competing with others, sometimes I do lack the confidence, and it kind of make me doubt myself even more. So sometimes I do have that feeling that whatever I do, it won't work. But there's also a small voice deep down inside my mind saying, you know what, Claire, that's not true. Because if you look back, you have done amazing work, and you have come so far. You just have to keep telling yourself that you can do it. Remember the 100 burpee thing we talked about last time? Just like doing 100 burpee. I was looking at my app for my gym track yesterday. I have done impressive works during 2024. It might be nothing because I would never be a professional athlete. I could have never be good enough to compete in a competition. But I have came a long way because I was someone who had never been to gym in my entire life a few years ago. But now I'm here. Also, if it weren't for my gym and my reading, I won't have written this book. I won't have been sitting here and talking to the camera and telling the world of strangers what I feel about the books, my life, my takes on everything. So sometimes life has a funny way to give back what you have lost. Which brings me to a practical problem. What should I do with the book? I mean, I would cure more in the new year. I could have put it on Amazon. I could have started a new book, which I have a vague idea now. What should I do with the new book? Should I write it, then cure it? Or should I go to Wattpad because it's a romance story? I don't know yet, and I will keep curing, of course, and I will keep naming my curing episodes with titles in French. The next one will be the one where someone did get somewhere but sat back, or the one where Claire made a breakthrough. Now, there are two books that inspired me to write my novel. First one is Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. I read the book a few times, and I watched the movie with my then boyfriend, and we started watching sitting here, and we ended up watching sitting here. We were all in silence to the very end, and now that I thought about it, it was hilarious, and it was maybe a sign of our eventually failed relationship. If you have never read or watched Gone Girl, it's about a couple who were celebrating their anniversary when the wife went missing, and later the husband became a suspect. That's all I'm gonna say. No spoiler. I recommended it. I think it's a great book. Just don't let anyone you date seeing you reading it. Or you could have gone bold like I did and showing them you are reading it on your first date and see their reactions. If a guy I'm dating saw me read this book, recognized it, and commented on it or make a joke about it, I will instantly fall in love with him. I think it's a great book for a variety of reasons. First, the plotting, the incredible schemes, the different point of views, the lies underneath the marriage. Also, the main character, Amy. She was, when I was younger, I couldn't have figured out why Amy was so special among all the other female main characters in a thriller about marriage. But recently, and only recently, I had some enlightenment. I think she's a wonderful character, not just because she's dark, she's pretty and dark, but because the character and the story poke a layer of truth in a relationship that at the beginning, one part in the relationship think they could have only been loved if they act in a certain way, if they had some sort of persona, be a certain type of person with a filter. They have to maintain being that persona, that someone else in order to be loved. The other part in the relationship thought life was easy and carefree and there's no need to go any deeper. When life started to get real, when everything started to kick in, when reality started to kick in, both parties got overwhelmed by the void in the false identity or lies they created together. I think that's why the book was so dark and attractive to anyone who had been in a relationship or had dealt with lies. I think the tragedy was one for us all as human beings, that we will never truly be understood or understand ourselves or the ones we loved, and we are all scared that no one will love us for who we really are. To fight that, we need constant reassurance that we are loved, we're going to be okay, we're doing great, and the relationship we had did not change. Which also fits my opinion about the second book, Rebecca by Daphne Maurier. I read this book when I was in middle school, so at least 16 years ago. My mom recommended it. She said, You know why you will love this book? Because the most important character in the story never showed up. Hello, I'm Aquarius. Of course, we are gonna go for it. If you have never read or watched Rebecca, the story was about an unnamed young woman who married a widower, a wealthy widower, went back to his house with him, but realized that the house and himself and everyone in the house was haunted by the man's first wife, Rebecca. I like it that Rebecca never showed up and we're all just imagining her in our head. I think Hitchcock made an incredible adaptation of the film, and I hated Netflix version because Netflix version felt like a restaurant that charged a little bit too much for the food that was not worth it. I didn't like the movie at all, but I liked Hitchcock's movie, especially when in the end he used his camera to film the empty house, but with the camera moving, you kind of felt like what really happened there. Imagination was what make me have goosebumps because I was imagining the horrible things that happened in the scene. Everyone who likes thriller or gothic story should have read it. The plot was not the only thing I loved about it. If you made a comparison between Rebecca and Gone Girl, they were both hopelessly sad because we would never truly understand the one we are going to bed with because they never really knew or figured out each other. Not just Amy and Nick in Gone Girl, but Amy and us, and not just Rebecca and Maxine, which was the husband, but also Maxine and the narrator who had no name in the fiction, who was the Maxine's second wife. It's the ultimate dilemma of love that we would never truly see or understand each other. Both couples in the two books, I'm talking about Rebecca and Maxine and Nick and Amy, they were all struggling to figure out who they really are, who their partners really are, and what kind of marriage did they get themselves into, which all turned out to be not what they thought they had. And it was kind of scary in that way. But this is also a vital reason of why I love reading, because I could have understand people, or the ones I've loved, or the ones that occurred in my life, just a little bit more through books. And sometimes the little bit is what that would have made a difference, because I've learned to accept people for who they appear to be. And I think for that, this is meaningful. Now, I don't want to end this video in a gloomy tone, so we're going to talk a little bit about the second word in this channel's name, barbells, CrossFit, gyms. If you watched any of my shorts video or if you follow me on Instagram, you would know that I do CrossFit 4 or 5 times a week. I wasn't like that years ago. Years ago, I was a girl who have never been to gym at all in her whole life. My friend introduced me to CrossFit. I think he changed my life, to say the least. I kept being asked why I like going to the gym so much. Why do I enjoy being tortured in the gym, and what it brought me. I keep thinking about that. Murakami said running gives him the body that he needed to write for hours. And to me, going to the gym have special meanings. It calmed my mind. It taught me determination. It brought me so many great friends. It taught me the meaning of making a promise and keeping it to myself and to others. And I was thinking yesterday, all the cures, my failing job hunt, my equally failing dating life. I enjoy dating, of course. I enjoyed meeting people and what they bring me. But last few years were the lowest point of my life. If it was not for the gym, I wouldn't have made it because I would give up. But I've learned a very important thing in life, that if someone punched you, you can stay on the ground for a bit. You can cry, you can lay down and weep. For a while, I did. But eventually, I wanted to stand up and fight back. Maybe that's all I could have done. Maybe I could have just punched back one time. Maybe I would have lost it. But it made a difference at the end of the day. In 2024, I worked out 220 days out of 364 days. So 60%. I finished 288 workouts. In total, I spent 16, this is very hard for me. In total, I spent 1,979 minutes in working out. And my total calorie burned is 118 calories. Because on average, I burn 5,343 calories every month. It looks a lot, but every day I just wake up, get up, and go to the gym, which Now that I think of it, okay, if anyone wants to use this app, it's called Zooms. I recommend it because at the end of the year, you could have post screenshots like this. Again, as I said in the last video, a shallow girl like me would like to do this a little summary and would make you look good on social media. But that's not the point. I'm shallow, but not that shallow. I think the good thing about using an app or a phone to track your gym life is at the end of the year or when you were down, like I was a few days ago. I'm not gonna lie. A few days ago, I had a very bad day and I cried in front of the camera. And I actually filmed myself crying with a ugly face after a long day of work. I think going to the gym and keep going to the gym and put an effort into practicing, into exercising your physical body. The good thing about that is if you have a bad day, or if you like me have a few bad years, the physical exercise keeps you going. It supported you when your mental health is in jeopardy. Also, it you have learned that in order to stay alive, in order to stand strong in life, you have to keep going. You have to do what you did in the gym when your lung was about to burn or when your heart rate skyrocketed to 190. It's all the difficult times that shaped you, that helped you, and would eventually change you. I realized I have left a lot of things to say in the video. Sorry, I'm really bad at planning this. But 2024, I did a lot of things that I have never done before. I became 30 in 2024. I did my first ever solo trip to New York City. I'm thinking about doing a video about all the books I bought in New York. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. It was one of the best choices I have ever made because traveling alone, it was fantastic. I went to bookstores, I went to watch Madame Butterfly, I went to watch a concert by Boston Symphony Orchestra. It was just perfect. I loved it. Also, I gymmed. I finished my first ever CrossFit standard open workout. It was my first time and I made history, personal best record. And at the end of this year, I started to make videos. I can't think of a better way to end 2024 because through all the personal struggles I had, I still made something great out of it. Also, I've went to a lot of concerts because I'm a classical music fan, and we will do an episode about books on classical music. I promise it will be. It's on the schedule of 2025. I lived my life as I wanted to, as I always wanted to. So yes, I had some really, really low points. I doubted myself. I questioned everything, but still, I had a great year, and there's nothing that I regret doing or didn't do. So I think in that matter, maybe that was the definition of happy ending, that you lived your life as you always wanted to. No regrets, and you had low points, but you've learned something, you've made something out of it. Now you're looking at the future in a positive and content and happy and peaceful way. Okay, maybe I do have a quote for her. I'm gonna talk to my colleague. And 2025, I sincerely hope that I could make more videos, I could go to the gym, enjoy with my friends and read more books. I could have made some progress in terms of curing because I believed in my book. The sky is blue or winter is cold or summer is hot. I believe that the same as I know that I'm a writer. And that's the commitment that I made myself. If it weren't for the gym and for the hard work that I've put in, maybe I wouldn't have been enlightened in that way. I was reading Marcus' memoir last night. He said that he didn't know at the time that his life was about to change because day in, day out, everything seemed like the same. He also felt he could have managed to do anything but being a writer. Only later on he realized that at some point his life changed completely when breakthroughs just landed on him. And I hope this video is one of the breaking points for me or for you. If you want to try a few new things in the new year, do it. Go to the gym. Tell the person that you love him or her or they. So that's all for today. Happy New Year and thank you for watching. See you in 2025. Next video, we are either going to do some unboxing new books, or I'm going to tell you about the first 2 books I finished in 2025. So see you next time. Bye bye.